Hey, welcome back to Fish and a Rice Cake.
Yep.
I'm Jake.
Yep. And I'm Jake as
He's
well.
Jake as well. And we're here to help you with your training, nutrition,
So yeah,
and
some non-sciencey, non-lectury
non-sciencey,
fitness talks, sometimes
non-lectury.
rants, depending on what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely a little bit ranty. And just not take it too seriously.
Yeah, hopefully, even if there's just one thing that's useful from each episode that you can take and put into your own training to help you get a bit of a better result,
I
then
mean, if we manage to get one
job
in
done.
between us, I reckon we've done all right.
It'll be a miracle. We're doing our best. So, what we're chatting about?
So we're talking about, basically, I've seen, I don't know if it's my algorithm or whatever, but recently there seems to be like this kind of rise of the hybrid athlete.
Mm-hmm.
CrossFitters in particular, but there's this thing that's called like, people call themselves hybrid athletes where they do a bit of running, a bit of weights and stuff like that. And it's great. Like I'm all for it. Like I'm certainly not having a pop at it. And actually I do a little bit myself, so we can talk about that. But I've got a few problems with it. Nothing too crazy, but I've got a few little issues with it because I think with CrossFitters, with these hybrid athletes, a lot of them come from probably quite extreme bodybuilding backgrounds. So they're pretty fucking jacked guys. And then they start doing this kind of hybrid stuff. And I think if you're kind of looking for advice and if you're going online and you're seeing these kind of hybrid athletes who are jacked and they are in great shape, like fucking some of them are just ridiculous condition, you're gonna think that they got that way through doing that.
So we're asking, does CrossFit get you jacked?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, because they
Well,
look
not just
fucking
CrossFit,
insane.
like just like hybrid athletes, whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. But CrossFit in particular, that seems
Yeah.
to that's the main one.
Because they do look insane. A lot of them, they look great.
And if you go on like the CrossFit Games, like some of them are just
So,
ridiculous
yeah.
level athletes, mate.
Oh, caveat this is not going to be a witch hunt against CrossFit.
Oh, not at all.
Because
Not at all.
I think it's fucking class.
Yeah.
Like it's like well, I think it's entertaining to watch and it's incredibly impressive. And if you were to give me the opportunity between right, I've got a ticket to the Olympia or I've got a ticket to the CrossFit Games,
You go
which do you wanna
CrossFit.
I'm going CrossFit Games every time.
Yeah, 100%.
Every single time. It's so impressive. But I agree with you. I don't think that it is correctly portrayed. I think a lot of people see the condition of a lot of the athletes and just naturally assume
That they've got into
if I join up with my local CrossFit centre, I'm going to look like that in 6 months' time.
that's exactly it.
Ain't gonna happen.
That's exactly my point. So, for example, I mean, I'm not having a pop at these people because I follow them for a reason. Like I think they're great. I don't know if you follow like Ollie March on.
I don't, but I do know who he is.
Do you know who he is?
I haven't looked at his page.
So he's got like a rugby. He was a professional rugby
Yes.
player. He played
Yeah,
for
yeah,
England,
yeah.
right? So he's now like he runs his own march on like kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is all like CrossFit hybrid athletes and they do like high roxes and stuff like that. And they are like I've watched his YouTube. Like I'm a massive fan of the guy. I think he's mint, but his condition is insane. He's got so much muscle. He's very lean. He looks like a fucking gladiator, mate. He looks like one of the 300 guys. I'm pretty certain he's been open about this on podcasts as well in the past. Like he comes from a massively kind of like strength conditioning background. You know, he's a rugby player, so he packs on tons and tons of muscle from an early age, doing not doing the form of training that he's doing now.
So before, and I don't know if we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but before I started online coaching, my job, or one of my jobs, was literally a strength and conditioning coach for a rugby league, Super League academy team. So like these kids had been scouted by a professional rugby league team and going through the academy, I worked with like the 15, 16-year-old lads. And yeah, their training, obviously they had a lot of fitness-based work and field-based work, but in terms of the gym, it was just strength. Like it was heavy lifting. It wasn't your CrossFit style sessions.
Yeah.
We had a lot of squatting. There were some power movements in there, like Olympic style lifting.
A lot of hypertrophy moves, or
Yeah, there was some more hypertrophy based movements in there, but that was it. That was what they were hammering in the gym like 3 to 4 times a week. It was just lift heavy, get strong. But then those are the ones that you'll look at and think a few years down the line, if they start doing CrossFit and you're like, fucking hell, they're in great shape.
Incredible shape.
CrossFit must be amazing. It's like, well,
and
probably
that's
not.
it. And that I think is my issue. Not like I said, I would say an issue with it, like a problem with it. I definitely have a problem with it. I just think you can think that maybe if you start doing some CrossFit moves, and you like you say you join your local CrossFit gym, that you're going to end up looking that way. When there's probably 10 years plus of someone just doing general bodybuilding stuff, building muscle tissue, eating to gain muscle, And then they've probably got maybe they got sick of it and they've just thought they wanted to try something new, and then that's led them into CrossFit, which I think is something that's quite common.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, you've got this ridiculous physique doing CrossFit, but the physique was built elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not that you can't build a good physique doing CrossFit. I mean, the volume that those guys do in training is ridiculous. Like, if you were to put like a professional CrossFit athlete's training plan against like a professional bodybuilder's, you would think that the CrossFitters amount of volume and training that they do, you'd think it was made up. Like, you'd think it was a joke. Like, they literally do 3 to 4 hours a day sometimes of just squatting, deadlifting, handstand walks, or handstand push-ups.
Fucking muscle ups.
Like,
things,
ridiculous. And if you sort of bring that back down to just like your local sort of CrossFit gym, it's very easy, if you're going 5-6 times a week, to almost fall into the trap of doing too much. Like, it's not that what you're doing can't build muscle, it's that because there is so much of it and the volume is so high, if you don't have your nutrition on point and you're making sure that you're eating enough to properly recover from those sessions, you're really going to struggle, because you're just going to go straight into overtraining,
under recovering,
and like
fatigue, injury. And that's another thing that
Exactly.
I know a lot of people who do CrossFit, right? And like they don't run, they're fit, but they're fucking always injured. Like,
Yeah.
they've
Well,
always got an injury.
I've tried it a few times. I've done not loads, but I've done maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 CrossFit sessions, right? And I genuinely loved it. Like, it's probably one of the most fun I've ever had training. But I was crippled afterwards, and not just like muscle sore. Like, my shoulder popped, my
Joints,
back was going, my knee, and it was just injury after injury. And that was only from 5 or 10 sessions. And you could argue, okay, maybe that's just a part of the course with it being something new, and you'd sort of got to push through that to begin with. But a lot of mine were pre-existing injuries that I'd sort of hadn't dealt with and not had them for a few years, that like instantly came back up. And I'm like, it is difficult. Like, it's
a
very
intense
demanding.
sport. It's very demanding. And I think what you got to remember is those kind of the people that you'll follow on Instagram, your Ollie March on, the guy's putting 4,000 to 5,000 calories away every single day, and his life is built around it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas your normal 9 to 5 office worker who wants to gain a bit of muscle, going to a CrossFit gym and just winging your nutrition it's the recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, you've got to remember there's so many caveats to that. But yeah, like I say, I just think it just seems to be an up and coming thing. And I'm not doing CrossFit, but I said to you recently, I've kind of mixed up my training a little bit. I'm doing what would probably be classed as like a hybrid athlete now, which I think anybody can, if you do a bit of running and a bit of weightlifting, you probably call yourself a hybrid athlete. Like, but I've been doing like hybrid style stuff, and there's a little bit more condition, a little bit more metabolic condition at the end of my workout stuff. And just I do it because I enjoy it. I enjoy it. So I'm not having to go at it. Like, I can see the benefits, and I can see like the buzz you get off of those workouts is really is fucking class. But also on the flip side of that, you also need to be super motivated, because those sessions are very intense. And I had like when I was ill a few weeks ago, like I was going to the gym and I was like, there's no way in a million years I can do those workouts. No way. Like, so, but what I can do is I can go in and I can do a little bit of weight training, and I can keep the intensity light, and I can just kind of go through the motions a little bit. And that's going to keep me in a decent enough condition.
I think the trouble is, like, because these guys, they do look amazing, and they've got a more aesthetically pleasing physique that most people would want compared to a bodybuilder. But I think because they've got a more, not necessarily, well, I guess it is a more attainable physique, and people look at it and think, oh, I'd like to look like that.
Yeah.
I think there is the natural assumption that then, well, if I do their training, maybe I will look closer to that.
Yeah.
But like we said, like, you need to make sure that your nutrition is absolutely on point with that for the recovery point of view. I mean, how difficult is it when we've got clients who want to get really lean and they're CrossFitters? Like,
it's tough.
It's tough.
So actually, we've literally just done Blitz check-ins this morning, and one of the girls I'm coaching on Blitz, she's lost like 10 kilograms. She's flying. And about halfway through, she was just saying that she was feeling bad. And I said, how do you train? I asked her how she train, because obviously Blitz is like 99% nutrition. CrossFit. So I said, obviously I'm not, like, this is completely up to you, but my suggestion would be, whilst we're in this photo shoot prep and whilst we've got like 8 weeks left of Blitz, let's just move you back to a more normal style resistance-based program inside the gym. Let's get your cardio a little bit more low intensity, so maybe some light runs if you really wanted to, but really just things like jump on the bike, the cross trainer, keep it low intensity. Just let me know how you feel. Like, you don't have to do it. Let me know how you feel. Anyway, like last couple of weeks, you've been checking and saying I feel a million times better. Recovery's better. She's adhering to a diet more.
Yeah.
Sleeps better. It's just because it is so intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so intense. And again, I ain't got a problem with that. Like, if you enjoy it, go for it. Like I say, I enjoy it, but you've got to find that balance, and you've got to know when to push on and when to pull back with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard because, like I say, somebody's, and the people you follow on like your Instagrams and stuff, like I do, they're going to be your top 1%. Do you know what I mean? Like they're your top 1%. Like the majority of people who go to CrossFit don't look that way, and like, you know, it's
No, I would always sort of suggest to people, like, if you are doing CrossFit currently and you're not seeing the difference, the progress in your physique that you would expect in terms of like building muscle, my best suggestions, our first protocol is, okay, well, let's look at your nutrition. Are you eating enough to begin with to recover from those sessions and to help build muscle tissue? But also see how often you're doing it. Because what I would argue is a better option would be, instead of doing 4 or 5 CrossFit sessions a week where half the session is some form of strength based work and the other half is cardio, you'd be better off doing 2 CrossFit sessions a week and then 2 weight sessions a week.
Yeah.
And then just sort of tipping the scales in the favor of the strength hypertrophy based training with a little bit of cardio still in there, so that you're
pretty much what I do.
so you're pushing it. Yeah. So you've got the best of both worlds then.
So like at the moment, I'm training like between 4 and 5 days a week.
Yeah.
4 of those sessions are pretty much hypertrophy,
Yeah.
with maybe a tad of conditioning at the end, and then there's one day which is a little bit more kind of like conditioning, medical style.
Yeah.
So it's a similar kind of setup.
Yeah.
You know, the vast majority is based towards like my physique goals, but I've still got that element in there which kind of gives me that more kind of high intensity stuff. And I've tailored that off recently with the photo shoot, but after the photo shoot, I'll probably pick that stuff up in a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I'll be eating more and I'll be enjoying my training more. So yeah, like I said, you can do a bit of both. I think what we're probably coming at this from an angle of most of the people that we coach. In fact, no, everyone we coach wants to improve the way they look generally.
Yeah.
They want to lose weight. They want to feel better with the top off. And I think if that's the case, you've got to ask, well, is your training serving you best for that?
Yeah.
And sometimes CrossFit might not be.
No.
You know. And obviously, if your goal is just to be better at CrossFit, fucking do CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit.
But if your goal is strictly to look a certain way and you are impartial to the training method that you use to get there, CrossFit's not going to be the best one to do. It's
exactly.
really not.
And it's the same. It's the same as when we spoke about like HIIT training stuff in the past. Like again, from the same angle, I can see how people will go onto their Instagram Explore page, see these fucking jacked guys doing stupid HIIT workouts, and think, oh, I'll have a bit of that because he looks that way. But again, he looks that way because he's fucking spent years and years and years building muscle tissue, or she has.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's why, like, because one of the things I loved about CrossFit when I did it was the sort of the social aspect to it, the team aspect. When you are doing certain things, you're doing it in a team and it's good fun. And that's why it does attract a lot of people who have come from an athletic background, whether it is in team sports, with football, with rugby, that kind of thing. A lot of CrossFitters, a lot of CrossFitters are also ex-powerlifters who have done very well in powerlifting, built up a very, very good base of sort of muscle strength and everything in powerlifting, and then transferred, like, well, Matt Fraser, who's literally like the best CrossFitter of all time, pretty much up there with Rich Froning. He was like a very, very, very successful powerlifter, or weightlifter. No, he's powerlifter, who then went into it.
Yeah, and I follow a guy, and again, I follow him because I enjoy his content. But he's a CrossFitter, and he's currently doing like a vlog of him training for the CrossFit Games. Because I was intrigued because he's got a serious fucking physique on him, like serious physique. And even he's like always injured with it, and it's pretty much his job. But anyway, I scrolled back through his page, and only like a 2 years prior to him starting CrossFit, he was a bodybuilder, and he was competing on stage. So like he built that physique way before he started CrossFit. CrossFit I know, again, I'm sure he's open about this, but he does, you know, he trains with his top off, so people are going to look at that and think, fucking hell, it looks great. Because he fucking does. And every video he's got his top off for a reason, right? Because he's going to get more views and more clicks and all that kind of stuff. And that's the reality of social media. But yeah, he got that physique through bodybuilding, not through CrossFit.
Yeah. So can CrossFit get you jacked? It can. It might not be the best way to do it.
It's probably better to keep you jacked once you're jacked, as long as you've got a good idea of your nutrition.
The best way, like you said, the best way to look at it is, well, CrossFit isn't a physique-based sport.
Yes.
It's a performance-based sport.
Yeah.
So if your goal is a physique-based goal, probably not going to be the best option for you.
If your goal is to transform your physique, maybe your training and your nutrition or whatever, but predominantly your training for this podcast's sake, is not in line with what it should be.
Yeah. And if you are doing it and you don't want to stop doing it, but you still want to try and develop your physique and you're not seeing progress, then you need to A, look at what's going on with your nutrition.
Yeah.
You're probably not eating enough. And B, can you skew how often you're training to do a little bit more of the strength work and a little bit less of the HIIT cardio style work? You'll probably start seeing a bit more progress.
Without a doubt. And if you really want to progress physique, talk to me.
You always try and always try and just like swerve them in, don't you?
Slide it
Throw
in there.
them
Slide it in there,
No shame.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it.
Shameless plug for coach.
But yeah, I think we'll leave that one now.
Yeah, hopefully that was useful. Like I say, it's certainly not having a dig because again, I'm a big fan of it. I watch it. It's fun. It's fucking exciting. But from a physique perspective, I think a lot of people might relate with that episode.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Catch you in a bit.
See you in a bit.